the Wizard of Oz together.
We were. You were my lion.
When we both got cast, I remember thinking, like seeing some of your videos of singing and stuff, and I was like, oh my God, they went all out. They cast this legit opera soprano.
Me.
Belting soprano, though.
I'm the belting soprano.
How did you figure that out?
The true story of like me going on my journey of learning to belt as an opera singer, I was cast in a show in spring of 2022. It's a new musical called The Path to Catherine. And it's a story of Catherine the Great before she became Catherine the Great. She's young Sophie from Germany. And I was cast, and it was a rock and roll show. So think kind of like Hamilton style, but it was an all-female cast, very small production in North Hollywood. And the composer said, I need you to belt. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. She goes, I hired you because I know you can. We're going to work on it.
That's awesome.
And that's how it started in 2022.
Dorothy was like a dream role for you, right?
Yeah.
It was such a great experience. Like, I felt like, I mean, not only did I enjoy playing opposite of you, I actually really love the Lion and Dorothy's relationship. Like, more than the other two, no offense. But because, and maybe this was just like our chemistry on stage, but there was such a like deeper, lovable quality that those two characters have.
I think, I mean, you never know until you're in it. But like for when we interacted on stage, it felt like an immediate kinship.
Yeah.
And that I think that translated into our characters, you know?
Yeah.
But if you think about the trajectory of the hero's journey and of the story she's telling, not saying she's picking up like collectibles or misfits, but that's kind of what happens on the road to Oz. She first finds the Scarecrow who's going to help her. Then her and the Scarecrow help the Tin Man. So by the time they get to the Lion, they're like, oh boy, what's this? And that's kind of what it felt like on stage, where it's like, first we think you're going to eat us, and then we're like, please.
Yeah.
You're scared of your own shadow?
Yeah. And there were moments too that I loved where it's like, some moments she's hiding behind him, some moments he's hiding behind her. Like, they support each other like throughout. Did you find it hard to play that character as your own when the original as Judy Garland is so iconic and known and to some degree expected?
You know, I think that was one of my biggest fears. I grew up watching that movie. We probably watched it every other month growing up. When I really dug into like learn and carve out my character, I watched the movie once. And I hadn't watched it in a few years, and I was like, I'm just going to watch it once, and then I'm not going to go look at it again to see why I love this show, to remember why I love this story. And that was all I did. And then every single page that I studied and I put in my body, I did it for myself. What does Elise want in Dorothy in that moment? Which was heartbreaking and healing in like so many ways. But yeah. I'm so proud of the work I did, because I just sang up in that area 2 weeks ago, and they were like, you were so wonderful. You were Judy Garland, but you weren't Judy Garland. And I was like, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
Well, you do that song too. You do Over the Rainbow so well. And like,
thank
you. What I love about your soprano voice is it's so husky. And I mean that as a compliment. Like it's up there, like you're hitting all these notes that any other soprano would, but you have so much more resonance than we're used to hearing. And so I just loved hearing that on stage in the show.
I like to, when I sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, what I like to do with that piece is I like to round everything out. So like when I'm trying to create a color, I'm like, how round can I make this?
Yeah.
And that was very fun to find.
Yeah. It was such a fun time. I wish the run was longer.
I know. Oh gosh, it really is a timeless story.
Oh yeah. I feel like I had similar trouble in like finding the character, like the
How to stay you, but how to pay homage, but still say you.
yeah, and I feel like a number of the reviews said that, like for all of us, like which was great, because then you finally feel a little bit of like, okay, I'm doing something right here, because sometimes we just go on stage and we have no idea, but I was like, we'll see what happens on the day, but I wanted to, I wanted there to be an element of Grant in it while also paying homage to the original, because people are expecting the lion to be, put him up, put him
The voice, right? The voice.
yeah, and it's like, well, if I do that, then I'm just
Mimicking
it. I'm doing an impression of him, but I'm acting in this, so I need that character.
It's the beauty of being an artist, and I think really stepping into that new level of being a performer where you're not just putting on a face and doing the role. It's like, how do I put on the face, but how do I also put my soul into it?
Yeah.
And that's the magic.
100%.
Oh, I love it.
How are you feeling as we come together here today?
Overwhelmed. Well, not that I'm with you. Just like the world is overwhelming right now. This is actually very nice to be in here. But it was a very busy 9 months. Wizard of Oz was not the end of my season. After that, I did 3 more shows. And we're kind of at a slowdown, which is scary when you've been so busy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's making me ask a lot of questions. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Where am I supposed to go next? Why has the universe given me this like time to slow down? And it's hard.
But you enjoy it.
Oh gosh.
I don't think the questioning ever comes from whether or not we enjoy the actual performing part of it.
Yeah, no. I often say to people, I wish I had satisfaction doing something else.
I've said that before too. I was like, I wish I had so much passion for being on stage as like for being like an accountant. Imagine like going into the office every day and being like, this is my grand performance.
And I've tried it. Like, no, I have tried an office job. I've tried teaching. I've tried other like assistant positions. I've literally tried it all. I do not feel the same fulfillment in anything else but storytelling and performing.
I understand that, and it's hard. It's hard to explain that to other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a struggle, and I'm kind of like, no. This is my version of how you love X. You know.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's probably the easiest way to explain to somebody like, what's your favorite thing to do in the whole wide world?
Right.
Yours is that. Mine is singing in front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And telling a story.
Yeah. One of our first conversations when we first met and we were in rehearsals was...
Oh, gosh.
No.
I'm like, should I remember this?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was about grief.
Oh, yeah.
We like very quickly like started talking about that, which I feel like too, and especially like when you're in a show with somebody, like you get close with a lot of the castmates and stuff. Fast.
Very fast.
And we are all more connected through grief than we think we are. And I feel like when someone like shares a grief experience with you, not only is it like it's somewhat of a privilege that someone else has opened that part of themselves to you, to share that with you, but also there's a element of understanding, like, oh, they've been through something. I don't know exactly what. I don't know what exactly the experience is, but I know it's been really hard and challenging.
Yeah.
And that part of it is where I think we all, as humans, can just be like, hey, we're all here. We're all having this human experience. And, have a little compassion for ourselves and each other. You shared with me recently, though, that that you had been experiencing some grief. Is that anything that you'd be?
Yeah, it's what was so interesting about this past year was in 2023 there was a lot of young loss in my life. Two people from my artist community that left this world way too soon. I mean, in their early 30s, it's too young. And I remember a conversation with my dad as like this entire community where we made shows together, we were storytellers together, we were lifting each other up and supporting one another. And then to have that community built in and experience this grief, it was one, there was many layers of this, but one, I was like, thank God we have a family. Even though we were all friends, we could all like talk to one another and understand where each other were coming from. But I talked to my dad and I said, what is going on? Why is this happening? And this wise man said to me, he goes, this is what happens. He goes, unfortunately, it's happening to you right now. And it feels like it's too soon and you're too young. He goes, but this is what life is. People just start going. And I was like, yikes. So that happened in 2023. And that was a big, big healing year of coming together with the community, making more art, you know, paying tribute to these people that were a part of our community. And then I got real busy at around the 1 year mark, around September of 2024 is when I just like launched and back to back contracts and away from home a lot. And it wasn't until honestly this past month where it slowed down, where I'm like, oh my God, another year's gone by. What have I learned? What have I grown from? How are my people that I experienced this grief with? Are they with me? Are they as healed as me? Are they not as healed as me? But as time goes on, it's one of those things where you're like, do you just call up your friend and be like, hey, do you think about so-and-so?
Yeah, I think that's perfectly normal.
Yeah, and I've kind of like been checking in with people because like I said, we're rounding that 2 year mark. And I think last year, 1 year, it was like, okay, I called it the year of firsts. I think I mentioned this to you, you know, the anniversary of the deaths, their first birthdays that you pass by, the first holidays you pass by. We got through that year of firsts, and this was our year of seconds. And this is when it starts to feel like it's been a while. And you're like, gosh, time, it just keeps going.
I feel like friend loss is more of a unique one too, that's not often discussed. Like I feel like even in Meet Me Where I Am, I feel like maybe we had just like one friend loss that we spoke of in the film, you know, and it's just as common as all the other losses, but the way we judge it is a little different, I think. Have you experienced that?
In this case that I'm talking about, these people passed away and they're gone off this earth. But I would say for anybody who's experienced like a breakup friend loss, that can also be as painful. Like I've have 3 ex-best friends walking around this planet somewhere, and I have not heard from them or spoken to them since then. And it's a pain in my heart that it gets smaller.
Yeah.
But it's still there.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. Friendship loss that's not to death, where they are out in the world somewhere. They're just not part of your world anymore, and it's very odd.
And you know they're there. They're out there somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
And I wish them well. It's just, you know, we were on a path together, and then at some point our paths went like this. And when you're young, you say stupid things. You don't know much of the world. And we sometimes hurt the people we're closest with the most.
What were some of the things that like people did or said to you after these losses that you found helpful in navigating that grief?
I've always loved the saying that the pain doesn't ever go away, but you grow. And as you grow, that will get smaller. It'll still be there, but it'll get smaller. And the worst thing that everybody hates hearing, time. And there's those moments where you're just like, God, I wish I could just speed up time.
Well, I think that is true, and yeah, you don't want to hear. Well, I mean, when you're in it, when you're in the middle of it, it's like, okay, yeah, let's speed up. Let's get to that place.
Yeah.
Let's get to that place in my personal timeline where
I'm fine and I feel better and I'm not thinking about it all the time.
I think if time does anything, it just changes you. And like you said, it is still there, but you're ultimately going to be different regardless. I mean, even without a loss, time will change you, you know? You had texted me a while back saying that you were experiencing some grief currently. Is that something that you're comfortable discussing?
Yeah, I think. So I come from a blended family, I'll call it. You know, parents divorced, remarried, step siblings. I'm an aunt. Like, there's so much.
You're your own aunt now, actually.
And I think I live far away from home. From where, home is Los Angeles.
Right.
Buffalo is where I grew up. Far ways from Buffalo. And I think the grief that I experience in that is I'm not there often. I'm there maybe 2-3 times a year. So every time I pop in, something's different. And I'm getting to see a snippet of an ever-moving train that I'm not on all the time. So I come in with some preconceived notions of what I... Sorry. Are you... Are you okay?
I'm fine. I'm just making noises like an old man.
Love it. And, you know, talk about grief. My grandmother on my mother's side got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I can say words, with Alzheimer's 3 years ago. And my grandfather on my dad's side has been dealing with Alzheimer's for almost a decade. And it is the worst type of disease. I mean, there are bad diseases all around, but watching someone you love wither away and they still look like them, but they are not themselves it's very painful to watch.
Anticipatory grief, which is essentially what you're referring to here, is sometimes worse than a sudden loss, a sudden death or a sudden breakup, because you're doing exactly that. You're anticipating
the inevitable.
Right. And it's really hard and it's really painful to see the decline. And so many of us, I think humans on a fundamental level, like, want to be hopeful in those situations and just want to, and that if it, you know, that can be called bargaining. If you want to look at it, you're like, if I pray more, like, will my person
get better, have more good days?
If I start doing this, will they do that? If I go to their house every, Saturday, will something happen with them? Will they'll cheer up and they'll be like, I have a reason to. It's so to bring it back to Wizard of Oz. Oh, it's right.
We're gonna go all the way back around talking about my grandparents. Yeah. So my grandfather, Papa, collected singles of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And wow. I think his collection is like over 100, and they're on vinyls. They're on the smaller records. What are those, the 35s?
The 45.
45. Okay, I was close. He just loves that song, and that was the song he collected. Anytime he found like a single, would get it. So for his 70th birthday 10 years ago in 2015, I was in music school, and we made a recording of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It's buried somewhere on YouTube, but I'm sure we could find it.
That's amazing.
And he lives in North Carolina, so I sent it to him. I was in music school in New York, and it was like one of the most intimate gifts I'd ever given. It was actually one of the first times I had given the gift of music and me singing. And then my grandmother loved Wizard of Oz. It was her era. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. And as sad as the disease of Alzheimer's is, every time she was told that I was Dorothy, someone would take a video. I probably have 50 videos of her being told, do you know Elise got cast as Dorothy in Wizard of Oz? And every time it was, she did.
I love that.
It was very beautiful to be able to experience that joy. And like, she genuinely was so happy for me every time she got to like find out.
Yeah. This is the second time we've talked about Wizard of Oz on this podcast, because when Barry was here, that was her mother's favorite movie.
Really?
And then I said is my mother's favorite movie. And now we're here with Dorothy. Actually, when I did the episode with Barry, it was before I think we got cast.
Really?
And so, yeah.
That was so long ago.
Yeah, and so now we've done the show. I don't have any records, but I have...
He's going to grab something.
I have this, which was... I have this, which was given to me by...
So cute.
By
Our
scarecrow Eric, which is so cool because and I think the other characters, they connect. The Yellow Brick Road actually connects. This was so cool. I mean, we like got a lot of gifts.
Oh, it was that one is one of, and then we also got like blankets and trinkets. Like I my home is now adorned with Wizard of Oz memorabilia, which is so fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
So yeah, it's when I say it was a healing show, like I mean that in so many ways, because like my grandfather's not really with it anymore. But when he hears music, he's there.
Yeah.
And especially the Somewhere Over the Rainbow song.
Yeah.
I'm going to see him in a few weeks and fully ready and for him to not know who I am, but will I sit down at the piano and give him the gift of music again? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is like so special to me that I can do that.
It's interesting that is what can remain with the human heart, I would say, or mind. What do you make of that?
There's a lot of studies on it. I don't know enough to speak to the most philosophical and scientific level of it, but there is a part of your brain that we don't really understand where long-term memory gets stored, and music just lodges itself there. Which is why for a lot of Alzheimer's patients, like if they're having an episode where they don't really they're not cognizant, they don't know where they are, who they are, what's going on, music can soothe them because it's so far back in the long-term memory that when accessed, it kind of puts them back into a state maybe when they first heard the song, fell in love with the song, danced to the song. It's so funny. My grandmother's favorite singer is Frank Sinatra. And I'm still trying to figure out what her favorite song is because she can't remember. But it's Frank Sinatra. Gosh, how many songs does he have? So every so often I'll just send her a song and be like, is this your favorite song? Is this your favorite song? I'm going to figure it out at some point.
I feel like we're going to hear one of those good news stories in a few years that it's like, this young soprano singer has cured hundreds of
Alzheimer's patients.
All she did was sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow every day for 2 years straight, and they've been cured of Alzheimer's, cancer, etc.
I mean, it's a universal language, even through, the turmoils of a disease that takes your mind. And I think, why not lean into the one thing we know that works?
I remember some of the best videos I saw online during COVID proper, when people were locked up.
We all locked ourselves up during COVID.
When we were on lockdown in our houses, I felt like we're the music ones. I mean, I would sing during that. I would come down here, and it was just such a for me, it was a beautiful release, like a beautiful and in many ways a way to access my own grief and to process, especially some of the songs I think that we tend to sing in musical theater, where it's very heightened emotion. It I think allows you to really access those parts of us.
What song are you thinking of? Now I have to know.
Well, I mean, I always, and it's taken different meaning over the years, but I mean, one of them is I always go back to If I Can't Love Her from Beauty and the Beast. Always.
I sob during that song every single time because it is Alan Menken is perfection.
Yeah.
His songwriting is perfection in my opinion, because that song just
It's the key change. It's that key change that.
Well, I'm trying to remember. So there's Alan Menken was on a podcast called Score, I think, and there's an entire like 2.5-hour episode of him talking about creating the orchestrations for Beauty and the Beast. And if I'm remembering correctly, he was a huge he loves Beethoven. You can hear that in his music, but also Giuseppe Verdi, the Italian composer, the big operas that you would know today, La Traviata. Anyway, one of the things that Verdi did, and he was one of the first guys to actually do it, was create key changes to evoke an emotional response in storytelling.
Interesting, yeah.
And when you listen to Beauty and the Beast, specifically that song we're talking about, though,
yeah,
what that kind of modulation not just orally does, but like physically does to your body as the singer or as the listener. And to explain to people who may not know what a key change is, like it's just going from maybe one pitch center, maybe a little bit up. And so it's supposed to evoke this kind of stepping up or stepping into the light, stepping into a new, when I'm teaching music, I call it a new tonal world. When you key change, you're in a new world.
Yeah.
Now, what an interesting concept to be singing a song and then you modulate and you're still singing the song, but now you're in a different world.
It's kind of like Super Mario Brothers in that regard. But it's, well, and in that one, the tempo speeds up too. And then physically, like you're saying, I would always go from one platform to the higher platform.
Physically stepping up, physically move. I mean, I can rant about music till I'm blue in the face, but that song, perfection.
There was, I only hope I can, do it somewhat justice when I'm on, say, because I've seen it done so many times so well. And it's such a marathon of a song. It has such a build, and you get so many different dynamics from it. I mean, the song is so beautifully written that it just kind of lends itself to it. I mean, of course, there is the work of the actual performer as well, but the song is just so good to start.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Can you tap into your full emotion when singing that song, or does your emotional trajectory, can that sometimes inhibit your ability to sing a song to its greatest potential, or the technique demanded to sing a song? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, there have been so many times where I would be rehearsing it and I'm just like
and you start crying.
I'm just bawling, and then I'm like, oh good, that's great, I can use that when I go on stage. And then when I go on stage, it's not all there.
I mean, I can't cry and sing. If I start crying, no sound is coming out of my mouth.
Well, that's the other thing. That's
no
the other
sound
thing.
Is coming out.
It'll certainly
it swells, it kind of chokes
create a significant impediment. But there were moments, and I feel like I've talked about this here before, but there were moments in that show where when he lets her go, like when he tells her to go, and then he goes into the reprise, that's where I would get more emotional, because it was a different kind of.
But I feel like that's a place that you could, where you can almost let it be like a cry sung, right?
Yeah, and the reprise is beautiful to that song too.
It's perfection.
And I remember thinking when Lumiere and Mrs. Potts, they come down and they're like asking, like, oh, all right, this is great now, like we can do whatever. I don't remember the lines. And they're like, where is she? And he says, I let her go. And he goes, but why? And he says, I had to. And then I remember I would just look at Mrs. Potts. I would just like turn to her and be like, I can't do this. Like, you have to explain it for me, And it was such a real like moment. and I get emotional just thinking about it, you know? But he just, like, I remember we would have that moment in the scene where it was a point of like where he was like so defeated and saying, I can't even describe this to you. Like, you have to explain it to them for me. I'm going to go sit in my chair. And then when he goes and sings the reprise, it's like a moment of like, oh, I get it now. Like, I wasn't able to do it because of all these things. Mm-hmm. And it's a nice moment because it shows his growth. Even though he did everything he could and he still loses her, temporarily, right? But that, I think, is such a human emotion. It's like, I did everything I could and it still didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. So now what do I do?
Yeah. And what I often tell people, what you want it to turn out to be isn't always what's meant to be how it plays out.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, it's a beautiful story, so they do end up together. But yeah, in that moment of letting somebody go.
Oh. I've always heard that too, or it's like the most loving thing you can do to somebody is let them go.
But yeah, what's it? If you love it, set it free.
I need more context for that.
I don't know. I wish I had more. I keep thinking about, I mean, I moved 3,000 miles away. So like my family had to let me go and I've flourished, but I've been on the receiving end of like backlash of like, you shouldn't go. Why would you move 3,000 miles away from your family? Why would you do that? And I was just like, there is something in me that is saying, go forth. You must do this.
I filmed a video for National Grief Awareness Day where I spoke to that, where grief could be anything, including moving to a new city and maybe grieving the place you lived before, or vice versa. Like, you know, and I received some interesting comments on that video. Someone said something like, oh, well, what if I have a new place, a new home, and a higher paying job? Am I supposed to grieve my life before? And I said, you know, that's up to you, but it's very possible. Like, there are times where I grieve my little studio apartment that I used to have in LA. I loved that. There was just the simplicity of it. I really enjoyed it. And it's like, it's so hard to like have these conversations because someone will hear this and be like, well, that's not grief. And I'm like, well, no, it's not the same grief that you're experiencing over the death of a loved one. But life is an accumulation of these different types of losses and how we process them differently from one another too. Mm-hmm. And so it can be a job loss. You know, that's a major grief. You think my life was going to be this, or I was going to be in this show or this film. And it's just not always looked at it as grief. It's kind of always looked at it as, oh, well, you know, better luck next time, kid.
Yeah, I think.
When are they going to stop calling us kid?
Never, hopefully. I'm just grown up in a kid's mindset. I think it builds resiliency.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I shared with you that it's been a very rough month. And the first week that it all blew up in my face, I was down in a bad way. But I'm proud of my toolbox that I've built for myself. I sit in it. I sit in my sadness. I sit in my grief. And then I'm like, stand up. Time to get back to work. And it was so funny because people, I mean, it's not funny. It was very kind of people to check in with me. How are you doing? And by week 2, I was like, I'm fine. I'm good. Because I've built this resiliency where like, I know what I need to do to sit in it and feel it. And then I know what I need to do so that I don't get stuck in it and then it becomes depression.
So I was going to ask you, like, what do you do in those situations? Like when those big upsets come, when you're feeling like you're in, you know.
So I let myself cry. Mm-hmm. The show Shrinking with Jason, whatever. So that technique of putting on a song and crying, I have been doing since 2013 because a therapist told me to do it. And I have a song. I'll share it because it might be someone else's song. It's John Mayer's "Stop This Train," but his live recording from where it was like him in a trio. I think it was like John Mayer trio. And I don't know what it is about that song, but I can put that on and almost immediately just start sobbing. So even if I'm in a place where like I'm too angry and I can't tap into my like raw sadness, I pop that on because I'm like, you gotta cry. You need to get there. So I'd let myself do that probably every day for about 6 days. I slept when I was tired. I worked out when I was angry. I journaled when I had too many words and I felt like I was burdening too many people with my troubles. And like, is it a perfect formula? No. But did it make me feel better? A week later, I was like, all right, we moved some stuff. We're feeling okay.
Do you feel like you've gotten to a place where you feel comfortable bringing these types of things up to friends and people that are close to you?
Yes. And I think...
And how would you go about saying like, hey, I'm in it right now?
I say it just like
just
that. I say it
yeah.
just like that. And it's also been a practice that I implore so many people to do. When people are like, how are you? We're so conditioned to say what? How are you?
No, I'm fine. Doing great. And then in the back of your head, you're always like, oh, I'm actually dealing with this right now.
Right.
But I don't want to be that guy.
So, especially when I'm feeling like down in the dumps, I will go back to that conditioning of I'm good, I'm fine. But then that little voice that you just said, I verbalize. And if I do say I'm fine, I'll go, actually, you're a good friend. If you have space for it, let me be honest. I'm not really great right now. And then sometimes I leave it at that and you can kind of like test the waters if they're able to hold space for you or not. But if it's actually one of your good friends, they're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm going to, like, how much time you got? I can make it brief. These are some of the bad things that have happened to me. And I've done that.
This is my favorite question. I asked it for every interview that I've done.
He's readjusting. It's making me nervous.
He's readjusting. I asked this in pretty much every interview in Meet Me Where I Am. And I'm going to ask you, how would you define grief? And I asked that because if you look it up in the dictionary, it'll just say deep loss. And you're like, sure. But it's so much more than that. And everyone has their own personal experience with it. So I'm always interested to see how someone would define it if they could.
I think grief in the moment is an unexplainable loss. It is something that is no longer. And when you're experiencing grief, you cannot describe what it is about it that you lost, how you lost it, why you lost it. All those questions cannot be explained. And then as you progress through the cycle of the grief, loop, you have to come up with some of those answers. Or maybe those answers will be presented to you, or some of those answers may never be answered. And it's kind of you living out this human experience of, how do I move forward without answers?
Yeah, I've been in therapy sessions before where they've asked me that. How can I move forward, find some version of what peace or healing would be if I'm not getting those answers? Especially if it's like, sometimes it can be reliant on another person. And if they're no longer here, we will never get that from them. And so how do we find that version? I don't personally like the word closure for that reason, because oftentimes it is reliant on somebody else. And if that person's not part of your life anymore, how do we move forward and get some semblance of what a version of that would be for ourselves?
I think it's an attestament to the human experience.
Yeah.
Everything that we see systematically played out is humans trying to make sense of something that may not actually have one definitive answer. There may be a collective of humans who believe in the same answer. That would be my definition of religion, or a system, capitalism, authoritarianism, like anything, fascism, like anything, communism, like that might be an answer to collective systems of how we exist. But yeah, it's not easy, but once again, I practice what I preach. It's about finding the peace within yourself. What do you need answered? It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. What do you need?
Mm-hmm.
And if you need answers, go find them. Go search for that. Like, be willing to learn. Be willing to have those conversations with people that may not think like you, have the same background as you. Like, I want to know what you know to see if maybe I can learn something.
I think I that's one of the reasons why I do this, and I enjoy sitting down with people, because I like hearing other people's experiences, because while they're all going to be different, and it's one of the reasons why I did the film, is like I want someone to watch and listen and hear another story, or for me too, and be like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Yeah. That seems interesting, the way that they worked through that. Maybe something similar, or that could work for me or someone else too. And so that's like why I enjoy these long form conversations, because I think that's ultimately like how we all heal, is being able to
just want to be seen. We just want to be heard.
Of course.
That's all it is, really.
Is there anything that you would like, any sort of like advice that you'd like to offer to anyone going through a hard time right now?
I always tell people it is easier to carry the load when it's shared with others.
Community is a big thing.
If you try to carry it on your own, it's going to feel heavy. And I can't reiterate enough, there are people out there that will listen, that will show up for you, that will care for you, and they will help you carry that load. Because it's not meant to be done alone. No matter what you think or what you see on the internet, on social media, it's not. You got to do it with community.
I would agree with that. How do you feel?
I feel great.
My stomach is still...